All right, we've done it. The first draft of that short story is now in the books. It took me a fair amount of time today. I was up around I was up around 7 at the keyboard, around 8, and yeah, so 2:30 this afternoon is when I'm recording this. Just wrapped it up, so about 6.5 hours. What had happened is I ended up breaking up um, kind of my writing time. So I was doing about an hour session, about hour 90 minutes, and I did about 3 of those sessions there. So 3 different sessions. I broke them up with some small, like 20-minute breaks in between. Um, no, that's not right. But probably, I don't know, maybe like a half hour or something like that. But anyways, a little bit of a break in between, and basically ended up just crushing the last section there. In total, it was 4 pages. So it was 4 pages, actually single spaced as well, but the print was relatively small and the margins were pretty small. What I do for my stories is I try to make them look, my first drafts, like I actually set the type font, I set the settings in the margins and the pagination. I make all of that look relatively professional, so it's very, very small. Um, Overall, I mean, 4 pages, probably, I don't know, probably somewhere around 2,000 words that I ended up writing, something like that, to wrap it up. Ended up being a little over 6,000, so yeah, it makes sense for the last third of the story. So, wrote that again over the course of the 6.5 hours here, and we're doing well. With that in the books, we have to look ahead to the next part of it. What that is going to be just getting 2 stories now finalized. I have April and May to do it, which puts it at about, I want to say, like 7 weeks now at this point. I think it's something like 7 weeks, maybe 8 weeks. I'm not sure. 7, 8 weeks that we have to get these 2 stories done. It's about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks apiece. It's definitely a doable thing. In fact, I'm actually thinking of what I'm going to do when I get these 2 stories done early. I get a feeling I have this itch that these stories are not going to take as long as I think they are, and I want to basically get what I'm going to do with my time. I've already said that once June 1st hits, it's all self-publishing. We're hitting that. I'm gonna go through my novel, and I'm gonna basically make those final edits, do the final line edits, do everything to formatting the book, to taking care of some of the business side of things like choosing the cover, things like that. So all that's going to be done when June starts. So from June through August, that's what we're doing. With 8 weeks left, and I'm probably going to have a little bit of time in between. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I don't know. I'll figure it out, assuming that I get things done as quickly as I do. But something about it tells me that this is these last 2 things are not going to take as long as I think. Could be wrong. Hope I'm not. Certainly don't hope I am, but it's possible. Either which way, we're going to get to it, and we'll see what happens. We'll see where we go from there, but it feels good. Yeah. Definitely was a stressful one. I basically, in the totality of this whole thing, it was what, a week, like a week of writer's block, maybe a little over a week of writer's block. Maybe more than that. Maybe it was like a week and a half. I don't know. But it felt long. It felt a lot longer and a lot more stressful than I guess it ended up being. But that's kind of what this whole process is. I mean, that's sort of the process of writing. Getting over a writer's block is not a challenge. It's the actual objective itself. Right? If you could just magically get over writer's block, you can magically have the answer to these stories. There would be, your book would already be written. It would already exist. That is the challenge, is coming over these small objectives. And that's a big thing I think people tend to mistake in these processes, is that they look at these obstacles, everything from like how to monetize their art to just coming up with a way to get this story written, and they think, all right, once if I can find a solution to that problem, I'll be ready to rock here. And you will, because that's the challenge. That is the entity of the whole thing. What you are doing, that is basically what you are doing. That is the objective in and of itself. It's not a part of the objective. That is the objective. So it's no wonder that it will take up a lot of time and that it will be very challenging. These are not small things to, I guess, navigate around. Challenges like this are the totality. They are what you're trying to do in completeness. So with that now in the books, though, we're looking good. For those that may be wondering where I'm at, I guess with the whole thing, I basically have one short story that's done. I've got, with this story now, I have 5 first drafts, or 5 first drafts to 5 second, third, late drafts that are in some sort of state of needing to be edited. So some are first drafts, some are second drafts, some are third, whatever. So 5 are in some version of editing. I'm going to take 2 of them for these next 2 months, and I'm going to get them published. So at the end of it, I'm going to have 3 complete stories and 2 that are in some state of needing revision. And then I need to come up basically with the rest of it. Then I need to write the rest of these things. Again, I don't know how long I want this collection to be. I still don't know. If I assume that I have 6-ish stories right now, probably need to do another 6. 12 stories feels good. In truth, I could do 8, and that's a fine collection. I could do 10, that's fine. I could do 20, So I'm not really sure what the whole thing's going to look like here, but I'm happy. I'm happy with where I'm at. And honestly, if by the end of the year, if I get everything I have written now, if I can have that all edited and done by the end of the year, I would not scoff at it. I would not scoff at having completed 5 or 6 short stories at the end of the year. To have 5 or 6 complete stories for my collection by the end of the year, if that was all I achieved in addition to self-publishing the story and getting it out, that would be a win. I think overall for the year, that would be a very strong achievement. Some might say otherwise. I had a professor who took, I think, 3 years to do a short story collection. I think it ended up being 8 stories or something like that. It was a pretty small book, and within the collection, I think he wrote 3 stories in the last 6 months for his before his editor required it. So that feels kind of on par with what he did, at least in terms of getting 3 stories done 6 months. Difference is it didn't take me, it hasn't taken me 2 years to get the rest of it done. At least I hope it, if it's 8 stories, I hope it doesn't. But these things take a while. These things definitely take their time, and you don't ever want to rush these things. And again, most people that are doing this, most people that are published, they aren't putting out fast work. They take their time. This is a very fast output in comparison. The difference is they're already in. They already have their foot in the door. They've gotten their big break and are now, basically in the game, as it were. If you want to get in, you got to work harder. You've got to work way harder to get in. Once you are in, it's a little bit easier. I think that once you are published, once you maybe have an agent, once you have some traction underneath you, and you're not clamoring for money, maybe you land a teaching job to supplement your income, right? Maybe you've got once you're kind of stable and you're already getting stuff published, at that point it's not as hard in terms of output. You can go a little bit slower and get away with it. Getting in's the hard part. This is where you gotta be on all cylinders trying to get your stuff out there. That's 90% of it. 90% of the game, if not more, is just getting your foot in the door. It's just getting that first initial break. Once it comes, it gets a little bit easier.